Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, Karibu Sana. This is Kenya Revolutionary. I'm here for another session where you want to talk about how the political class in Kenya manipulates the Wanainchi. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, if you haven't liked this video yet, if it's just popping up in your notification that I'm on, you know the first order of business. Hit that like button as soon as you see this face. Hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, don't waste any time. I shall go on my submission here. Then I will give space for those who want to join to join. Thank you, Goody. I see you there. See you, Ali, and you've been. I can't thank you enough, but thank you for joining me, wherever you are, whether you are in East Africa, Africa in general, South America, North America, Europe, uh, Asia, whatever, New Zealand, Australia, Karibu, Karibu Sana. As I've said, the matter today is how the political class in Kenya manipulates the Wanainchi. The basic thesis of this talk today will be based or will evolve around three individuals: William Ruto, Raila Odinga, and Uhuru Kenyatta. I've often told people, and most people don't agree with me. Some people do see it, some people don't. But these guys are all the same. And not only the three of them, it's a group. It's a group. That's why I call him the political class. I often ask people, most Kenyans, don't you find it weird that it seems to be like a group of politicians? They are the same faces who have been in Kenyan politics for the past 30, 40 years or so. Whether it's Raila Odinga, Ruto, Uhuru, Kalonzo, Nyachai. I mean, is Nyachai still alive? I think he's dead. But you get what I'm saying. Mudavadi, Boni Halwale. These are the same faces that we have seen since the late 90s, mid 90s. They're the very same. The only thing that the difference is that they kind of trade horses, okay? They change political parties and create new political parties and political formations, whether it's NAS, CODE, ODM, UDA, name the whatever, Azimio, Kenya Kwanza. It's all the same. It's the same rot, okay? Or should I say lot, okay? It's the same faces. It seems to be the same group that plays around. They just change political vehicles, all right? But they're same. They're the same. Now, they divide us, then after a while, they come together and work together to keep us oppressed. Yes, I said keep us oppressed. Now, the classic example is that we've seen is Raila Odinga. We've seen now it's more clear, evident that he's entered into a handshake, some sort of handshake or an agreement, whatever you want to call it, a compromise with President William Ruto. Now, Goody is saying the three triplets or musketeers. Yes. Now, leading up to that or before that, before this so-called handshake, you could hear the Azimio side, especially Azimio side. I want to just talk about them for a minute. They were so passionately opposed to Ruto. And I can't blame them, okay? They felt that Raila, lost the elections, and these guys were talking about going to the State House and forcefully removing Ruto from State House. They wanted the servers open. They went to Mandamano and tried to cause chaos here and there. And there were casualties. Okay, but at the end of the day, we saw the two gentlemen meet Museveni. And actually, this handshake, so-called handshake, happened way last year, as Obasanjo later told us. Okay, but this is not the first time that this has happened. This also happened in 2017 with Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, where, again, Maraga nullified the election, saying that it wasn't free, fair, or verifiable. And he ordered for a new re-election, okay? Which did not take place, of course. But regardless, Uhuru Kenyatta declared himself the president, the winner, by declaring himself, our Mudamaki, as they say. We went to the streets, you know the story. But at the end of the day, Raila Odinga entered into another handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, and they started calling themselves Baba, brother, and all this nonsense, okay? So there seems to be a recurring theme among these guys, okay? They're the very same, after every electioneering year, they throw, you know, uh, insults at each other to divide their followers, okay? Because it seems like we have supporters who support these individuals, not ideals, okay? Because if I hear somebody say that it's okay for Raila Odinga to go to AU because Raila has offered himself to Kenyans to help Kenyans for a long time, it seems to me that they actually like the individual and not the struggle, so-called struggle that he was fighting for. Because remember, the struggle was to fight for electoral justice, cost of living, and so forth, so forth. But here it is, Raila Odinga now just abandoned everyone and he's going to AU. So you can't argue that Raila offered himself. It seems like he just wanted something, and once he got it, he's out. Say, okay, mambo engine, I don't care about that stuff. But I will dig deeper into that. The first matter that I want to actually address today is to show you something that's kind of not related, but related in some way. I want to play an exchange between Sifuna and the governor of Nairobi, Sakaja, which I thought was very interesting. It was in Parliament. Was it today or yesterday? Someday. I've always argued that Sifuna is actually making a name for himself, even though he's in ODM or Azimio, but he's growing in stature. And I like what he's doing personally, regardless of his politics. But he carries out his primary responsibility as a senator, which is what? Oversight on the governors. And he's actually going after Sakaja. Something that I would, if I was, for those of you who are arguing that Babu Owino should be the next Nairobi governor, I think I would like to see Babu Owino more vocal, just as Omwami is, Mr. Sifuna, okay? Remember, this Sifuna guy had his little documentary where he was exposing Sakaja's food program, among other things, and he's always vocal about what's going wrong with Nairobi. If you look at his page on Twitter, on X, whatever you call it, you can see this. So I'll play that before I get to Raila and the political class, because I want to build my case, but I want to start highlight this this short snippet. It's not actually, it's 22 minutes, but I'm going to be here for a while today. Today, this is a marathon. I don't have my coffee. My coffee machine broke, so I'm kind of not have all the energy in the world, but we'll get through this with water and some determination and some comments on the comment section. I'll be here for a while. So if you're an X, follow me. Get on YouTube if you want to. And like the video, I'm here for a long ride. Today, Chelsea's playing Leeds later, so I have to start early. But let me get to the matter without being, I digress for a minute. The matter today is how the political class in Kenya manipulates the Wanainchi. I will start with Sifuna and Sakaja's exchange at the parliament, because I thought this is very important. It's a snippet or a short, what do you call it? Something that I don't know I'm looking for a word. Something that we should expect from our politicians, okay? Especially the senators, citizens, and the MPs sitting at the legislative body. I want to see them bring in these CSS from the executive, members of the executive, being summoned at the parliament, being asked questions about things like the bursary. I'll get to the bursary issue too. I'm all over. I know, but I'll get to the issue. There's so many things I want to talk about, but let me just start with Sakaja. Then we shall go to the political class, how they manipulate Kenya. Okay, but let's get to Sakaja first. Okay, because I think this exchange is something that Kenyans, if you hadn't seen this video, you deserve to see is Sakaja is doing, in my opinion, is doing his duties valiantly as a senator. Okay, now some people call him super senator, but I won't go as far as that. But let's start with Sakaja before we get to the other stuff. I will play it from my I saved it on my whatever. If you want to follow me on X, it's on my X. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Are you guys ready?
If he has contempt for us and senators and the people. I was born in Nairobi in a government house, so I know what it feels and then the kind of attachment you have in these houses that are either government or council houses. So I want to assure the residents of Nairobi, that what we're doing is truly for their best interest. We'll walk along with them and we'll walk along with the committee, and it's very exciting for us. We cannot have an ulterior intention or motive. In fact, I was about to quote a Bible verse, but it's okay. I don't think it goes with the standing orders. But, whatever he says, even if he has contempt for us as senators and the people, maybe he will have some respect for God and tell the truth.
Okay, thank you very much for your submission, Senator. I believe that moving forward...
Yeah, the standing orders are very clear. These are House of Rules. You do not impute improper motive, just as the Senator has done. Saying there's a... No, Wanainchi, just read your standing orders.
I suggest you don't throw words at each other.
Governor, you will not teach me the law. Let's bring the standing orders. I've been here for 5 years. Let's read the standing orders together. This is not something that we need to pass by. Let us see references to governance. And at the point that you want to discuss the character or behavior of any witness, including a governor, you bring a substantive motion. Where? You can't say that we're being contemptuous.
I think we are not here. Senator Sifuna, we are not here to be taught about our studying orders.
Correct.
We are here to get to know the plight of the people of Nairobi. If we can stick ourselves to that, just that one issue, we are going to move forward in a way that everybody expects us to move forward. Otherwise, I won't entertain any kind of, throwing words at each other at this specific committee where the lives of the people of Nairobi are affected. So,
is
it on the same issue?
Yes, on the same issue. One or two issues. First of all, Senator Wambua, I was never bragging in the House that I was the best chair. I was rated the best by Mzalendo and other organizations. And I take parliamentary work very seriously. And so I just happen not to have been around in those circumstances. As the Senator of Nairobi has said, these leaders are known to me. Some we speak to. I respect their time. I don't choose which committee to come to or which one not to come to, and I must correct what the Senator of Nairobi is saying, that we come here on our own interest. Money for counties is not our own interest. It is for the people that we represent. In fact, the work of the Senate is to ensure we are well-resourced. And not only was I there for that meeting with the Finance Committee, I was meeting the Public Investments Committee as well a week ago or so on audit. Yeah, so it is not about my own interest. He's also said on the record that I know he doesn't live in those houses. I don't know where you live. I'm not sure enough. I don't know whether you live there or not. So just for the record. Chairman, I've been a chair of committees for 10 years. In the National Assembly, I chaired the first joint committee of both National Assembly and Senate on cohesion and equal opportunities. I've chaired the Committee of Labor. I've chaired the Committee of Security. The place of the Senate of Parliament is very well known to me. You are the representatives of the people, and I take it very seriously. Chairman, it happens that there could be scheduling issues, and that's why I've apologized and paid, and not just to the committee, to these people, who I respect very much. They're the people who elected me to be senator, they're the people who elected me to be governor, and I will always be available for them. And so I think we can... If there's anything further on that, Chair, I'll be happy to answer if you want any more evidence of that. But I've really pushed for, in fact, if you look at the Hansard, for enhancement, not just of fines, but of the powers of Senate. I don't know whether you should arrest people, but I think I have encouraged even my colleagues to cooperate with the Senate, with the National Assembly, with Parliament. I remember the former president, Mwai Kibaki. I remember when I used to work in the treasury, when he'd call a meeting.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades, I just wanted to highlight that brief exchange between Senator, what's his name? The Secretary General of ODM, I forgot his name, Sifuna, and Mr. Sakaja, Governor Sakaja, just to highlight a short preview of what your senator should be doing to the governors. This is the same thing that I would expect the parliamentarians doing in parliament when it as it relates to the CSS. I argued here most of the time that what's his name, Chirchir, the CS for energy, who couldn't explain the hiking in prices of electricity, hiking in prices in mafuta, the G2G deal, all that stuff. These are the things that instead of going to these television shows and quarreling, for whatever reasons, for public to see how how to argue, whatever the case, this is the parliament is the place where you should be discussing these issues. But let's get to the issues at hand. I want to take you guys back. I want to take everyone back, and I want you to pay attention. Today, I want you to pay attention to detail. Please, I'm begging everyone, pay attention to details as I play this video. I want you to read carefully the body language of three individuals: Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Samoei Ruto. I want you to pay a close attention to their body language so you can see this game that's been run on Kenyan people. This was done for the cameras. There was nothing authentic about what these guys were doing. It was so obvious. It was poor acting skills by these three gentlemen. And it was used to push a certain narrative. And the media actually played into it. Now, let me play you this from a few years ago. And it's actually one of those funny Emmanuel Juma, bullseye stuff. But I want you to pay attention, keen attention, because it is building my case. Look at the body language of these guys. Like this video, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, if you're joining here, like the video, share, comment. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. But here it is. Here's the video. All right. Are you guys ready? Look at their body language because I'm about to get started now. Now we are starting on the matter. Here it is. Look at the body language of these three very carefully. All right. Here it is as we go on and proceed. All right. Here it is. Are you ready? Let's go.
A hearty embrace that tells a story, speaks of a newfound bromance. William, these two are dating and you are doing the right thing. Wearing the appropriate face, I would...
Right there. Look at their faces. Look at their faces. Look at the acting. Raila Odinga, they're purposely looking at the right side where Ruto is seated. And look at Ruto. He has a smirk on his face. It's almost like he wants to laugh, but he's holding back because he knows this is an acting job. And after this, the headlines, if you are live and you remember the day after that, the headlines was Ruto has been ostracized. But look at his face. He doesn't seem like he's upset, like he wants to. In fact, he's acting as if he's upset. Look at his face. Very, very. Go play that in Nino. But let me just play it one more time so you get it. I want you to look at Nino. I'll let it.
Found bromance. William, these two are dating and you are doing the right thing. Wearing the appropriate face.
Right there.
I would worry too.
Look, he's smirking.
If I was in your shoes.
Kutoka tushikane mkono na baba.
Tell us about that first date.
Wakati tulikutana, tulikunywa chai karibu dakika 45, kuna mtu anaongea, tunakunywa tu chai. Habari ya nyumbani sawa. Habari ya mama ako tu. Habari ya watoto wanasoma, wanaendelea. Hakuna maneno mengine inaweza kutoka.
And we said that we'll have this conversation just among ourselves first.
Then what followed?
Watu kuangaliana hapa, tumejifungia ni sisi wawili tu.
Ah, that must have been the moment Uhunye's eyes rose and looked into Agwambo's. I wonder if he blushed. I wonder. One thing led to another, and the rest is the present. More hearty embraces for Baba and nothing, absolutely nothing for William. It is a cruel political world.
Ukishika huyu, ule mwingine anakusema ni adui. Ukishika huyu sasa, ule mwingine ni adui. Let us now be mature. Yeah?
Please don't make me cry, because I know there could be nothing left for me. A musician sang. And so, some will never walk alone, as some do just that. There was more to come, laughter and pain.
Shida ambayo iko kwa serikali ya Jubilee hiyo watatatua kando yao. Sisi tuko ndani. Hiyo ni yao hiyo.
He had starred a hornet's nest.
Your Excellency, we must be able to put our views on the ground. It starts, Your Excellency, with who mobilized the people who came to this podium. Because if this podium is going to be used to lecture the people and give other people views, we must, Your Excellency, come out and speak our voices.
Njia ya kujadiliana pamoja ni kusimama kwa jukwaa na kutoa maneno sana sana hata bila mtu kufikiria, kwa sababu nataka nipigiwe makofi.
If Murkomen thought he was angry, Uhunye was on fire. As for Sonko, he has a new vision.
We can see now in case of maybe the office of the deputy governor is vacant.
If in doubt, just look at his eyes. But this kind of vision, big and expensive, can make one see visions. And that's exactly what he saw at the Bomas of Kenya.
The organizers wa event ya BBI wameanguka wote. Wezi wacha viongozi wa nje huko kuja kukaribisha watu Nairobi na mwenye Nairobi yako hapa.
As for Itumbi, it was a case of the powerful also cry. Just whose egg did Itumbi break, if I may ask? And then the BBI report. It proposes creation of the position of Prime Minister. For whom, I may ask?
They're not being created for any other particular person.
Wanasema ati BBI Uhuru anataka kazi, mimi sitaki kazi, nimechoka.
Very tiring, this politicking. Just ask them who they trust to carry on with the work of BBI.
Waache kuota ndoto. Ati there can be a parliamentary initiative.
This process must be people owned. It will not be taken to parliament.
But why is that?
We know very well that one, William Samuel Ruto, will buy all those members of parliament.
Remember, he is one of them. And there is also the question of reading and the readers.
Pale mimi ninakotoka, Your Excellency, huko tuna mila na desturi. Pale mimi nawakilisha. Na mwacha mila ni mtumwa. Sisi tunasema baba akisoma tumesoma.
Wewe Jonetu, usiharibu watu bana. Baba atasoma na atatoa maoni yake.
We must also respect those who prefer that the report is read for them.
Back to Bomas.
Yependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kupenda haki kwa watu wote.
This will go down as one of the most uncomfortable dances yet for William. Imagine your partner has given all indications he wants a divorce. Your replacement is right there on his left, and you must play the good boy as he perhaps sings to himself, a little bit of William on my right and a little bit of Baba, or is it a big, big Baba on my left? Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
Okay, so let me explain to you, for those of you who didn't understand what was going on here. Okay, on the surface, the discussion was meant to bring about unveil the BBI. If you don't remember that, the Building Bridges Initiative, which was a proposal of positions, same as like the NADCO report, pretty much, changing the constitution and creating new positions as the official opposition and some new cabinet ministers to accommodate the people, most of the opposition basically at the time, after Raila came in that handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta. They gathered their lawyers from both sides to come up with this BBI thing, which again, it is a proposal that was proposing a change in how governmental structure, which meant we were to go to a referendum, have a referendum, and create these positions, whether it was the official opposition, prime minister position, and all this nonsense. Okay, it's basically done to repay. It was a gesture from Uhuru to give Raila and his friends positions for now that they agreed to have that handshake, and to keep his government together, Kenya together. That is basically, because if you don't remember, let me just remind those people who are still forgot. Before the handshake, Raila Odinga was sworn in as the people's president, and what's his name? Ruto and Kenyatta could not govern. Basically, they could not govern. So they had to get Raila Odinga on board. So they had this handshake. Then they came up with this BBI to accommodate the opposition. That way, in their eyes, they wanted to avert any possibility of an uprising by accommodating the leaders of the opposition, who they saw are leading the revolution, okay, from the ground. So that's why the BBI was there. But here is what's the deeper issue in this BBI, okay? This was not just mere proposal to create this new position, okay? This was done, that is the day that this political class unveiled their plan to usher in, pass the power, the sword, the proverbial sword, the sword that you see that Uhuru gave to Nani in Kasarani after Ruto won the presidency. That is the day that it actually passed to Ruto. Okay? Because even before this BBI, even before the 2017 election, I've been trying to find a clip. There's a clip that Uhuru Kenyatta, okay, pronounced himself in front of public. It was a rally somewhere in Central Province, okay? And he said, after I finish my 10 years, I will give it to Ruto. And after Ruto finishes 10 years, he shall give it to Gacha. Then he stopped himself. Because basically he was spilling the beans. He was drunk. Nani was always a drunk president. I don't remember when he was sober, when he was a president. But basically, he was telling us the plan, how they're going to rule. So here's what I'm saying. That BBI, you saw the whole theatrics. This was done for the public. Because ask yourself the first question. The first question you should ask yourself, in the event when they're unveiling this BBI, why did they need to have this grand meeting at Bomas, inviting parliamentarians and all these speakers? And I think there was a dignitary from Tanzania or somewhere who also attended this. What was the purpose of having this grandiose, grand meeting where the whole, the media will be focused on this whole process and the speeches will be given and there'll be all this unnecessary drama? Why was it done so like that? Compare that with the NADCO report. The NADCO report was done, but it was more subdued. We knew about the whole process. Okay, yes, the cameras were there and they highlighted it kidogo, but it was not capturing the nation's attention as this BBI thing. Why did they do that in public? Why did they focus on that and make that a huge headline, a big deal. Okay, they had all this place in Bomas just for Murkomen and I don't know who and kila mtu alienda hapo on a. Why did they have to do that for an unveiling of BBI? They could have just told Nani Amos Wako, who was one of the people who authored that BBI proposal, just get Amos Wako and all the lawyers that were involved in sketching up that BBI proposal and have them call a press conference and just announce it and tell, hey, this is what is in the BBI. This is what we are intending to do. We want to take it to the parliament and take it to the people and have a referendum and mambo itaisha hapo. What was the purpose of actually having Raila Odinga, the president, Ruto, and all these members of parliament sitting there like it was a huge theater? It was, and all the drama that came with it that grabbed the headlines. And you could see, I showed you the picture there, how Ruto, they focused on how Raila was. They made sure that they were trying to capture Ruto with the pouting, looking like he's sad. You could see even Ruto wanted to laugh. It was all acting. And look at how Raila Odinga was so obviously at the want to crack jokes na Ruto and they're high-fiving and he's cracking jokes with Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta. There was a narrative that was being written that was pushed to the unsuspecting viewer. The narrative was Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are against Nani, what's his name? William Ruto. This was done by a design. They were very deliberate in doing that. I'll tell you why. Number one, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. First of all, Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto, their government was very unpopular. Very. Remember, if you can remember that time, up to 2017, leading up to the elections, okay, there was a huge complaint by the Wanainchi. They were talking about the ninio madeni ambayo Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta had taken were more than the previous government had acquired. And people are so not happy with that. The cost of living started going up then. And you could remember how Uhuru was behaving. People did not like Uhuru. Uhuru was oppressive. Hizo visanga zote zilikuwa zinafanyika. This guy was not liked at all. Your government, was very unpopular. So this is what happens, okay? There was no way Uhuru Kenyatta was going to win that election in 2017. There was no way, okay? There was no way. And when we went to the election, and I'm walking you through so you can see the underlining the game that was played on us. Pay attention. This is how they played us, okay? Pay close attention. Like the video, because I'm about to explain something that will help you understand the Kenyan politics and what we can do as Wanainchi moving forward, okay? But let me start with what happened, okay? So, 2017 comes, Ruto and Uhuru's government is very unpopular. Nobody likes it. But guess what? So who are we to look at as voters? Raila Odinga was the what? Was the alternative. Sindio? But the thing is, remember, the plan, according to this political class, the plan for the political class is not the same as the plan for the Wanainchi. The Wanainchi want change, but the political class want Uhuru to finish 10 years. And after Uhuru, it is Ruto. And after Ruto, it's Gachagua. And I will tell you why Gachagua will become president in 2032. I know, you're laughing. You'll be the one crying. Listen to me closely. I'm coming. Like this video. I'm coming. Let me explain to you. I'm very, 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 today, I'm very calm, okay? Very subdued today, because I want to explain something that I want you to get. Okay. Uhuru Kenyatta is very unpopular. Uhuru and Ruto. Remember, Ruto was in his government, was the deputy president, okay? So, Wakanda elections, they lost that elections. They tried to rig it, okay? But rigging wasn't working. Remember, they tried to rig, it didn't work because we had Maraga. Maraga called them out. We know the story. I won't rehash the story. You all know what happened. If you are there, you are there. Unless you want me to walk you through it, hold your hand and explain everything that's happened. But all we know, Nani Akaji, he became the president, right? Aka declare himself the president, Uhuru Kenyatta. William Samoei Ruto and Uhuru were still unpopular, even after the handshake. Okay, but the only way Ruto was going to win the 2022 election was for him to detach himself from Uhuru's what? Uhuru's rule, administration. I'll repeat that and I'll say it very slowly so you can understand what I'm saying. The only way the only way Ruto was going to win the 2022 election was to distance himself from Uhuru Kenyatta's administration, 10 years of rule. He was the deputy, but he had to detach himself from that government. How was he going to detach himself from that government? The only way he could do that, okay, and this was all planned. Everyone was playing a part. Ruto, Uhuru, and Raila. They're both playing to this. So the handshake happened, okay? Because remember, let me flip it so you can think about it in another way. If come 2022, let's assume that Ruto did not leave that Uhuru, did not. We didn't have this vita between Uhuru and Ruto. Let's assume that Ruto was friends. They remained cool. They remained cordial. They remained together. Uhuru and Ruto remained together, and Raila remained together leading up to 2022. Who do you think Kenyans would have voted? If Raila was already in the handshake government? I know some of you might argue that Raila was not in the handshake government. Yes, he was. He was basically from 2017 to 2022. He was. But let's assume that Ruto and Kenyatta remained friends leading up to 2022 elections. So let's assume Ruto, Raila, and Uhuru Kenyatta were friends leading up to 2017. Who do you think Kenyans will have voted for? Who do you think Kenyans will have voted for come 2022 if they were all friends? Kenyans would have looked for another alternative because they would say, look, we are tired of this government of Uhuru Ruto and we are tired of Raila Odinga because he has joined Uhuru Ruto in this mess that these guys are causing Wanainchi. So anybody, it will be easier for any outsider. In fact, Wajakoya would have won if he ran, or somebody else other than Uhuru, Ruto, and Raila. Okay? But remember, they have to stick to their plan. The presidency, okay, the power has to be maintained within this circle of friends, which I call the political class, the elite political class. It's not just political class, it's elite political class. There are those who are elites, and there's the parliamentarians who, Akina Didmas Balaza, Oscar Sudi, who just get played around and wanatumio hapa na hivi. They're what I call useful idiots. But anyway, so the only way to manipulate the feelings, the emotions of the Wanainchi, ya wafuasi, was to create this division between Uhuru and who? And Ruto. That's why they called upon this BBI meeting in Bomas, and they behaved in such a way that, went along with the narrative that Ruto amekosana na Kenyatta. And I'll prove to you why Ruto and Kenyatta hawakukosana, and they're still friends to this day. To this day, they're still friends, and they're very close friends. Don't be fooled. Hizi ni mchezo. And all of them are still friends. Uhuru, Raila, and Ruto are still friends. Close friends. Hizi ni vitu walipanga. So, again, like I say, they called this thing in Bomas Center, and bring the crowd there, and they, wakafanya hii mzaha to create this narrative to confirm the rumors and the stories that Uhuru now is William Ruto's enemy. And William Ruto is Raila's enemy. So Raila wakashikana na nani to ostracize Ruto. That was done for people to sympathize with Ruto. To sympathize with Ruto. So now people will see that, okay, you know what? Ruto ameona, this is, watu wako na ujuaji. That's why he coined that phrase now, yeye si mtoto wa wale founding fathers of this nation. He's not his family, babake si the Oginga and babake si Kenyatta. And that narrative actually resonated well with the common Wanainchi. And that's how he started getting support. And people saw him like, you know what? This guy is getting mistreated. Uhuru didn't care. Okay? He's getting mistreated, and he started gathering his army. Now, listen to me. I will prove my point. I'm proving my point. Come 2022, Ruto's plan yao ya kupass power to Ruto works. And I often ask this question. Knowing Uhuru Kenyatta with the vast weaponry and power that he had as the president of the Republic of Kenya, I always ask this question. If Uhuru Kenyatta did not want Ruto to be president, do you think he would have handed power to William Samoei Ruto? Do you think he would have done that if he actually didn't want Ruto to become president? Because remember, when Kenyatta lost in 2017, look at how far he went to maintain that chair. He went, bribed Raila Odinga, brought Raila Odinga on his side, shot Justice Mwita's and bodyguard, and forced Maraga to announce him and to swear him in as the next president. Look at how far he went to win re-election or to declare himself as the re-elected president in 2017. Look at how far he used the state machinery, okay, and everything else to maintain his power. So if Uhuru Kenyatta truly did not want Ruto to become the president of Kenya in 2022, he would have not passed that sword to Ruto in 2022. Angesema ati no, these elections imeibiwa, and me as the sitting president of the Republic of Kenya, I'm not going to give this power to Ruto because ameiba election, as they claimed. Remember, they were claiming that election imeibiwa. So unakumbuka? Okay? Because remember, leading up to the elections, even Oburu Odinga has told us that we always win, but we never had the what? We never had the deep state. But this time we have what? We have the deep state, we have the state machinery, so we are going to win. That's what they say. But it never happened. Why didn't it happen? Because it was part of the plan. It was part of the plan. It was part of the plan. If Uhuru did not want Ruto to become the president, Uhuru hangepatia Ruto hiyo power. He would have not. And I'll explain to you again, and I'll prove my point again. Ask yourself this. Ask yourself this, okay? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Ask yourself this. If Ruto was truly mistreated, na hizo drama zote tulikuwa nasikia, do you remember when sijui walikuwa nasema ati they were trying to set up Ruto, sijui he was kicked out of the state house in the residency of the deputy president in Mombasa, and all hizo visanga zote. If it was true and Nani Kenyatta really despised Ruto as we were meant to believe, okay? Ask yourself this. I've already asked you, why will Uhuru pass the power? And number two, when Ruto became the president, okay? when the Ruto became the president, the first person he would have taken care of, given that he knew the corruption that happened in Rani, in Uhuru's presidency, he would have even arrested Uhuru Kenyatta. Not even arrest him. He would have at least angechukua mali yake using the government, using Article 226(5). Okay? He would have done that. But guess what? The first person alipatia job was who? Uhuru Kenyatta. I've told you, with all the power Uhuru had, he still transferred power to who? To William Ruto. Okay? And William Ruto, once he became president, the person who was so-called being mistreated by the same Uhuru Kenyatta, the first order of business when he became president, the first person he employs is who? The same Uhuru Kenyatta who he claimed was mistreated him. Do you see the game that they're playing? So this was a fake beef. And even Babu Owino said it in one of the Ninio. One of the interviews. And after he said it, hizo ndio mashida zake zikaanza kuanza, wakaanza kufungua ile kesi yake tena. I'm telling you, do you remember that time? Do you remember? So I'm telling you, what I'm trying to tell you is this, that these guys, okay, let me tell you this. And what's his name? And even I'm trying to find that video so I can play to you so you can get what I'm trying to say. It's a lengthy one. I'm looking for a short version of it. Sorry. Okay. It's a lengthy one. I can't find a short version of it, but it's in the if you want to find it in Europe, I mean in YouTube, he has an interview. It's actually a 1-hour interview where he explains how Raila. He explains, according to him, he says Raila was played by Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto and Raila played Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto played Raila. Okay, but what Babu Owino failed to understand is that all of these guys were actually playing Kenyans. It was not just them playing. It's a game. Okay, so here it is. Water break. Here it is. This guy has won. And they have fulfilled their plan, which they planned. Remember that speech I started telling you about when Uhuru was telling us when he was drunk in Central Province? He said, kumi yangu, kumira kumira, kumi yangu, kumi ya nani, alafu gashagwa. Then he stopped himself because he knew. So now the plan has been fulfilled, okay? Ameenda, akamaliza kumi yake, akapatia Ruto. So it is Ruto's turn. Ruto is serving his first term, okay? But there's a problem ahead, right? Ruto ameingia, and Ruto is very unpopular, okay? Very unpopular with what he's doing, okay? His policies are very unpopular. And it's for a reason. He's taking orders from where? IMF, is their masters, okay? They're the puppet masters, okay? IMF, World Bank, the West, basically. And he has no choice. In order for him to stay in power, he has to play his role and roll out these policies that are not. Ask yourself, what was the ambassador for US doing in Homa Bay yesterday? But I'll come back to that later. So here it is. Ruto is in power, okay? He's greatly very unpopular. The borrowing, the corruption of yesteryears during Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure has been extended, is being continued under William Ruto's administration. Okay, there's nothing has changed. He's talking a good talk, promising you heaven and earth, but you can't see anything. Okay, so it's a continuation of what Uhuru Kenyatta was doing, right? Because these guys are the same, basically. Okay, so here comes the problem. The public, the Kenyan people, the population is now agitated because, in Kenya, we put most of our hopes in the election, in the general election, especially the presidential it's like we always believe that we believe that if we choose the right president, our fortunes will change. Okay, we put so much of our hopes in the president, which is fine. The presidency can have a huge impact on how our day-to-day life is, depending on their policies, which is fine. But we invest a lot of our aspirations. We put it hoping that the president, whoever the person we vote for, will bring huge change. But anyway, so we have Ruto. The plan for the political class, the elite political class, is going on as planned. Ruto is now the president. Tumemaliza election at 2022. He's looking at 2027. Of course, he's a politician. He has to look at that, right? His policies are very unpopular, very, very unpopular. Kenyans are still butthurt. Remember, most of Kenyans were okay with Ruto being president in 2022, winning the election in 2022. That's why you didn't see anyone go out there and protest or kasirika, because they knew he won fair and square. Raila akaanza kuleta matungamano, okay, for his personal reasons. But let's get to this. When Ruto was voted in, Kenyans were hopeful. That's why they rejected Raila Odinga, because they wanted Ruto. They were played thinking that Ruto will bring some change, but they got more of the same, okay? So who does the Kenyan population turn to? Who was speaking their language? Raila Odinga. The same constant, there's always a constant in the opposition. It's Raila Amolo Odinga, right? So this Raila, most Kenyans don't know that Raila is actually part of the game. He's part of Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta. He's part of that political class. Ni mmoja wao. He just pretends to be the opposition. Okay? Ni mtu anajifanya tu hapa. That's how he plays the game. That's his role. I've been telling you this since time immemorial. Raila is a controlled opposition. His job is to suppress any grassroots political revolutionary movement. Okay? So, Kenyans are already within 1 year, 2 years, 1.5 years, they're sick and tired of Ruto. They don't see any change. Things are getting harder. He's bringing more taxes. You are getting taxed for even breathing, taking a breath of air, you're being taxed. Kila kitu tax, sama mamboga tax, everything tax, kila kitu tax. Okay? People are growing, there's a growing discontent among the populace, the population. Okay? So who does the Kenyan people turn to? They don't even turn to him. They start, because there are some mandamanos that started even before Raila Odinga. But Raila Odinga uses this to take an opportunity to create a position for himself. So he goes there and starts his nonsense about Sava, sijui nini, whatever. This is to divide, because remember, it is all about divide and conquer. Some people are like, oh, why should they divide and conquer? The reason why they divide and conquer, and that's why I gave you the example of this. If Raila and Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta were together in 2022 as one party, the Kenyan people will have risen against them and vote somebody outside of that political class. They will have rejected all of them, okay? But they have to maintain this polarity, difference, in order to keep you in status quo. So Ruto is messing up, but Raila is going to be the one, the Messiah. He's going to play the Messiah. I'm the opposition, I'm the Messiah, here I am. So people started gravitating towards Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga, okay. Since Raila Odinga is talking about Sava Ifunguliwe, we are suffering, yes, and the only person who can speak for us is who? Raila Odinga. He has the monopoly on Mandamano. So Mandamano we went, but it wasn't as great as it was, right? So tukaingia Mandamano, tukaenda, we started having. Now, Raila Odinga wakaenda wakakaa chini kwa tent, nani akamkalisha kwa tent akamwambia, hey, you know what, let me give you this AU position and let's create this NADCO, because this is where they're going to mess up. Let's create this NADCO to give, because the NADCO is created, it's the same BBI. The purpose for NADCO and BBI, it is created to reward political chieftains. Everybody, think of it as warlords of every sections. Kalonzo, Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula, Wandai, everybody on the Martha Karua, they want to give them power so that they wapoeshe watu wao. You understand what I'm saying? Wanataka kuwapatia kiti ndio wapoeshe watu wao. Because the mistake we Kenyans, you know, majority of Kenyans we fall under, we see people, sasa kama vile we worship our political leaders. We don't rally around an ideology. Okay? We are not ideologues. We just rally a rally for our political leader, who always, more or less, is always a tribal leader. So, for example, if Kalonzo, okay, will rally around Kalonzo simply because we are Kambas, okay? We'll rally around Odinga because he's a Luo. We'll rally around Uhuru because he's a Kikuyu. See what I'm saying? So, the same thing. So, Kenya, we are programmed, okay? We are conditioned to tetea watu wetu. I'll rally around, what's that Kisii leader from Kisii, that thug from Kisii, Simba Arati, because I am a Kisii. Okay? So the BBI is designed to create positions for these tribal leaders to feel important. Wapewe hizo mshahara, carpet, government cars, so that they can keep their followers quiet. Sasa hata kama mnafilisika, mnafinywa lakini hamwezi kuongea, because what? Your tribal chief amepewa kiti as the official opposition. Hata kama gharama ya maisha ni juu na mnaumia as mwananchi, lakini your tribal chief amepewa kiti ya AU. Okay? Hata kama mnafinywa na maisha ya gharama ya maisha iko juu, hamwezi, you cannot afford food for your family and take your children to school, hatuwezi kusema kitu kwa sababu our tribal leader is the president. Hata kama tumefinywa, hatuwezi ku afford the mafuta ya kupika na chakula, we are not going to say anything and we are not going to revolt because our leader is the head of the National Assembly, Wetangula. You see what I'm saying? So the NADCO is created, they want to push this NADCO to create positions for these tribal leaders. For these tribal leaders to have position so that we, the people and our community, that's why you hear them say it will be a good representation. It will be good, it will be inclusive. Inclusive for who? For these tribal leaders, so that they can quail us. Sasa sisi tukae tu, unaona mtu wetu wako kwa serikali. We are part of the serikali. We are not left out. But in real sense, you're still suffering. You're still paying high taxes and all that. Let me read this comment real quick. The three played and still playing Kenyans. Kenyans always want to topple the president chosen in the first few months. Afterwards, they forget and accommodate the person. They did it to Uhuru, Kibaki. Yes. Okay? So that's how we get played. Want to enjoy, but we are so conditioned to tetea watu wetu. Oparanya is now being prosecuted, is going to be prosecuted by EACC and DCI for stealing 52 million while he was a Kakamega governor. But you'll see lawyers will come out. People from Kakamega will say, hey, they are finishing our people. We are mtu wetu. The same thing with Matiang'i when he was being arrested. What did you hear? Oh, mtu wetu. Because we have been conditioned to tetea mtu wetu. Baba is going to AU. Oh, it's okay. Let Baba go. Baba has offered himself. but you fail to prod and ask the questions. What happens to the movement? People died for Christ's sake. How can he just leave and go to AU? Yani umeabandon kila kitu kwa sababu umepewa kajob ya AU. While sisi tulijitokeza tukakufa. You see what I'm saying? So until we get out of that, hiyo ni shida. That's where the problem is. That's where the battle is. The battle is. Okay? Ndio maana hao watu they're doing tribal mathematics wakienda kufanya kura. Ruto just go atachukua Kalonzo hapo, achukue sijui Moses Kuria hapa, achukue mtu pale, then he wins the election. Because Kenyans, we are deeply tribalistic. And as long as we are conditioned to be that way, amtakuwa liberated. Never will you be. And these people only thrive and survive through that. That's why you see Raila can say the things that he's saying. I'll play you another thing. I'm not done yet. I'm here with you. Let your heart not be troubled. Let your heart not be what? Trouble. I'll play you something. Mko ready? I'll show you something that was so interesting that I don't even know what to say. Mko ready hapo? Aya, wacha niwachezee basi. I don't think you're ready. Like the video, tafadhali, like this video and share it and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe it mara moja. Usiharibu wakati. Like it so people can see it out there and they get the good news. Wacha niwachezee ninio. There's a video I want you to play here. It's a snippet of Raila Odinga, what he was saying in what he was talking about. I think Woody alluded to this a few minutes ago, but let me just...
Around trying to get support. Let me respond to some issues being raised, some fears. I'm not going anywhere. I'm around. I've been running around trying to get support for different heads of states. I was with some in Namibia just the other day. And I went to the president of Uganda after I talked to him to go and ask for his support. And then we met there with Mr. Ruto, who had also gone there, to talk about the issues they're having with oil, the G2G. He was his minister for energy. Let me respond to some issues being raised.
So, so here he tells you, he was, thank you, Goodyear. So he's telling you that he's around, he's not going anywhere. He went to Uganda to actually, number one, Raila Odinga. When you went to Namibia and Uganda and when you're running around, as you have told us, running around to get support from heads of state, you are doing so in order to get a position that will only benefit you. Raila Odinga getting the AU position is not going to benefit Kenyans. It's not going to benefit Azimio. It's not going to make the standard of the gharama ya maisha kwenda chini. It's not going to bring down the cost of living down. It's not going to bring the prices of unga down. It's not going to stop corruption in Kenya. It's not going to bring investors in Kenya. In fact, I'm anti-investors. Foreign investors, the colonialists have a new term that they use when they went to take over the country. It's called foreign investments. But that's a term, that's a topic for another day. Okay, so Raila Odinga here is fooling us mbele ya watu. As he said, he bumped into Ruto in Uganda to soften the tension between Museveni and Ruto over the story of G2G. Now, this is what I'm saying. This is the kind of lies, that blatant lies that continues among this political class, fooling the Wanainchi. But we'll never see it like that. Sisi tutaiangalia tu ati unaona baba anafanya kazi. He's there working on our behalf. Baba anatembea na Namibia, anaenda Uganda. He's doing things to help sisi Wanainchi. That's why I posed this question yesterday. I would like him to answer his supporters, not only the ones who supported in 2017, but his supporters who also supported in 2022. What happened to the servers? What happened to electoral justice? What happened to the 10 million signatures? What happened to that? You're going to AU. All of a sudden, you're doing shuttle diplomacy for Ruto? What happened to that? Raila Odinga, have a press conference. Let me ask you some questions. Let us, I'm not his supporters, but I'm just going to wear that hat for a second. Let those who supported you and went to Mandamano and got shot and killed, let those who survived ask you those questions. Okay? What happened to that? Wewe sasa unatuambia unatembea unaenda Namibia sijui nini to garner support from heads of state for you to get that AU position. That AU position is not going to get that server open. It's not going to get that Ruto out of the State House as you told us. Wewe ulisema ati you'll stop at nothing. Raila Odinga, explain to us. I'll show you something else. I'm not done with today. I'm simply trying to open everyone's eyes to see how this political class work together to manipulate us in such a way that we stay divided, because as long as we are divided, it's easy to rule over us. Because let's say right now, okay, we are divided, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. Let's say Kenya is divided among two political factions, okay? Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, you know, when we get to kikasirikia Ruto, let's say we are mad at Ruto. We are not happy that everything, economically is not going on well. So we are not happy, right? Na tunasema, toeni Ruto. So it's natural for us to turn to the Azimio side and look at the Azimio because they are the opposition, okay? And expect them to do something to either remove Ruto or force Ruto to do the right thing so that our living condition, our interest as a people, as citizens of Kenya is met. So we turn to Azimio. Azimio is telling us, yes, this government is incorrigible. Let's take them out. Let's garner these 10 million signatures and let's get them out. So Raila anaeka pressure na anaita maandamano, and we are happy. We are going for maandamano. We go to maandamano inaendelea, watu wanapigwa ninio. We were sacrificing. Even though people were getting shot, people were getting killed, we were saying, you know what? It's going to be worth it, because at the end of the day, we shall fight for the cost of living to go down, and we are fighting to remove Ruto from power. Okay? So we are looking at Raila. Okay, Raila, lead us. So Raila is leading us. Then this person that is leading us comes in and announces after a few months that, you know what? Okay, let's stop this mandamano. Now, I'm going to AU. Nimekutana na president, tumeongea. He has given me this job for AU. So I can walk around Africa and make sure that Africa is... So we as the people who wanted to remove this Ruto, sasa story imegeuka, si kutoa Ruto, atutoi Ruto, hakuna electoral justice, hakuna nini, sasa story imekuwa, you are going to AU. So let's stop everything, Raila is going to AU. But wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, Raila Odinga, wait a minute. The struggle was about to remove Ruto. It was about to removing Ruto, or was it to bring the gharama ya maisha chini, electoral justice, because you told us umeibiwa kura. But now, unatuambia ati unakimbia unaenda Namibia to garner support for your position for AU. And what is going on? Sasa ile struggle yote imeisha hivyo. Your story imeisha tu hivyo. That is what I'm talking about. So at the end of the day, ile asira yetu sasa, we are left dejected, demoralized. struggle the leader of the struggle ameishia, ameambiwa ameshapewa job na president. So Ruto will continue doing what he's doing and will feel helpless. You see how they have played you? The person you turned and gave the power to fight the Ninio, the oppressor, has been taken by oppressor and given a job. In fact, he is depending on Ruto to help him find it. You see what I'm saying? It's a game. It's a con game that's being played on us, the political class. Because I told you, if these three people, if we had known that all these people are one, it would have been different. It would have been easier to reject them as a whole. Tungewatoa wote mara moja, tungewaeka kwa gunia moja, Ruto, Raila, Uhuru, put them in one sack na tuitupe huko River Yala or Lake Victoria. It would have been easier. But we are being fooled. Just like you saw the affordable housing. You remember I told you in my other video, I told you the Azimio people are supporting the affordable housing, but they conveniently did not show up during the vote. Why? Because they wanted it to pass. But in order to maintain their position, to maintain the division, the illusion of having an opposition in Kenya, they had to call a press conference with Babu Owino and all those clowns pretending that they are opposing the affordable housing. Oh, this is draconian. This is something that we don't want. This is something that the president should scrap. We are not agreeing with the president. But you did not vote. You didn't even show up in parliament. Okay? But walishaskizana to do this so that the affordable housing is passed. So when it's passed, you know, they know the average Kenyan angaliangi hansa kaangalie nani alipiga kura na nani hakupiga kura. That's why I named all the 142 of them that did not show up. But they know you are not going to find out. So you'll see them, they'll come back to the constituency and say, mimi Ruto anatumaliza na hiyo ninyo yao affordable. Ruto anatumaliza na hiyo affordable housing levy. The taxes are too high, taxes zinazidishwa zinaenda juu. We don't know what to do. Ruto anatumaliza. While when it was time to vote, they conveniently did show up because walishasikizana na Ruto wakapigiwa simu. It's a con game. It's a con game. Like the video right now. Like it, share, subscribe, like if you haven't subscribed, like it. Tunaendelea. I'm not done. I want to show you something. There's a question that was asked by somebody, none other than Dr. Miguna. There's something that he asked that no one really actually looked deep into. And I want us to interrogate that statement, okay? So allow me. Let's look at it together so we can see what he was saying. You know, I told you that if you want to look at what happens with Raila, just listen to usikizanga vitu Miguna naandika, because they usually happen. Like him or not. Aya, let me read you something. This is what he wrote. Can you guys see it on the screen? Aya, let me enlarge it. This is something. This is a tweet. This is a tweet by Miguna that he wrote back at 5:23 p.m. April 29th, 2023, April last year. Miguna wrote, breaking, Conman Raila Odinga has made the following demands before he calls off Mandamano. He wants President William Ruto to help him become chairman of the African Union Commission, and B, appointment of 7 cabinet secretaries. Can you see that? This was written last year. Miguna wrote that. Most people usually don't take Miguna seriously. But here it is. Anakuja na receipts. And he wrote there, yes, I said it long time ago when goats, sheep, and cows were still tethered. How can I be disappointed or bitter when I see things long before they happen? I call him Prophet Miguna. I gave him that name in one of the videos. Okay? All right. Here's another question that he asked, and I want us to interrogate this. This is the question that I wanted you to, our friends who are following this video. Here he asked, are you guys, can you see it? Whom do you think came up with the idea of the AU Commission Chair's position? Was it Ruto or it was Raila? Whoever came up with the idea has the trump card. This is for the cheerleaders who only clap without understanding the hows and whys of life. The end of today's introduction to critical thinking. Good morning. Can you think, guys? Can you think now? Can you think? Huh? I want to read something also that Guy what's his name? Gaito. He wrote something very interesting. It's on my page. Let's get to it. Gaito wrote something. Mko tayari? Francis Gaito, whatever his name is. I can't even say his name. Like the video, ladies and gentlemen. Like the video. Like the video. Like it. Finya your like. And subscribe. Kama uja subscribe. Na weke notification. Ndio sana kiingia utaniona kila mahali. Okay? Gaito wrote something here. Francis Gaito. Most of the smart Baba supporters are silent and for many reasons, including 1, Raila's treachery caught them unawares. 2, they didn't sign up for this shit merger of the Kenya Kwisha and Azimios. 3, they can't correlate the pursuit of electoral justice and reform with the AU chairmanship position. 4, they genuinely bought his anti-establishment rhetoric. 5, though a bitter pill to swallow, it's finally dawned on them like an epiphany that he's always been the problem. It corroborates previous reports that he actively undermines his own presidential bids by doing stuff like not paying agents, wanting to control everything, and not create a solid structure. Did you hear what he said? I'll repeat it one last time because I think it's profound. Hear what he says. Most of the smart Baba supporters are silent and for many reasons, including 1, Raila's treachery caught them unawares. 2, they didn't sign up for this shit, the merger between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. 3, they can't correlate the pursuit of electoral justice and reform with AU chairmanship position. 4, they genuinely bought his anti-establishment rhetoric. 5, though a bitter pill to swallow, it's finally dawned on them like an epiphany that he's always been the problem, Raila being the problem. It corroborates previous reports that he actively undermines his own presidential bids by doing stuff like not paying agents, wanting to control everything, and not create solid structure. Okay? And then all right, I won't read that because they are cussing each other. So do you see what I'm saying? I'm not the only one who sees that Raila actually, he's okay with losing these elections. He's okay with that because he has everything to gain. That's his position. Controlled opposition. That's why he's always the constant opposition member, the permanent opposition member. He's the constant. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm showing you this stuff. Nyinyi mnafikiri, these things are easy, vitu zimepangwa, mnapangwa. But the only reason mnapangwa is because you let yourself be conditioned into thinking that if your tribal leader, a leader from your region who happens to be the same, your tribesman, is appointed to a governmental position, that means that it's a win for you or for the betterment of the whole Kenya or community. No, it's not. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I have to take a break. I might come back later for another live to give you ways in which we can actually defeat this Kenyan political class. Because it's one thing to lament and show you all these things that's ailing us as Kenyans, but it's another thing to actually come up with solutions. Goody is telling Miguna is a prophet. He should be allowed in Kenya to enjoy and immerse in real politics. Yes, I agree. All right. So I think there's a lesson to be learned here. Don't expect any, for those people who are saying that Raila going to AU will help Kenya. No, it won't. It won't. Raila may, and he's only him. Things will get worse under Ruto's rule. Not because Raila has gone, it was going to get worse anyway, because they're part of the same, they are the problem. So this should open your eye to start looking at people who want to genuinely change things and not collaborate with the Rutos, Raila, and Uhurus. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, ladies and comrades, my name is Kenya Revolutionary. Please like the video, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'll stop here. I might have another live later, but I'll stop here, ladies and gentlemen. So please take that moment to like. Thank you very much, Goodyear, for participating in this. It's been an hour, 21 minutes. I couldn't go longer. But before you do anything, like the video. And next time I'll come in, I'll have a session where everybody can come in and give their 2 cents. But again, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings. And I'll talk to you guys later.